Right at this very moment, somewhere in the world, a car is being built from scratch without a single human touching it. We're not talking about the distant future or science fiction. We're talking about now, this instant. As you hear these words, mechanical arms move in perfect synchronization, welding, assembling, and inspecting every millimeter of a vehicle that will soon be on the streets. And the most impressive part? All of this happens in almost total darkness because robots don't need light to see. If you're as fascinated by this as I am, hit that like button because what we're about to explore goes deeper than you might imagine. This isn't just a technological curiosity. We're witnessing the biggest revolution in manufacturing since Henry Ford's assembly line. What once took days and hundreds of workers now happens in hours, with surgical precision. Entire countries are redesigning their economies around this transformation. The automotive industry, responsible for employing millions globally and moving trillions of dollars, is undergoing a silent but absolute metamorphosis. And it all begins inside these ghost factories where the only human presence is occasional, almost like visitors in a world that wasn't made for us. Before we step inside, make sure you're subscribed, because we're diving into worlds most people never get to see. Let's step inside this environment. The first impact is the deafening silence. There are no conversations, no coffee breaks, no background music, just the constant, rhythmic hum of electric motors and the occasional hiss of compressed air. The dance begins with steel sheets being positioned by autonomous transport systems. These platforms move like ice skaters, never colliding, always knowing exactly where each piece needs to be. When a sheet arrives at the first station, gigantic robotic arms descend from the ceiling. They don't hesitate, don't measure twice. In fractions of a second, they assess the exact position and initiate the stamping process. The force applied is so precise that the margin of error is measured in microns. Watching this mechanical ballet has something mesmerizing about it. Each movement is economical, perfect, as if there were a choreography rehearsed for millennia. There's no wasted energy, no unnecessary gestures. A piece that would take a human minutes to position correctly is adjusted in seconds. And then comes the welding. Face guns briefly illuminate the environment while dozens of points are joined simultaneously. What looks chaotic is actually absolute order. Each spark has purpose. Each weld point is calculated to distribute tension and ensure maximum resistance. In less than 2 minutes, what were scattered sheets become the recognizable structure of an automobile. I'm curious, have you ever seen a car being built in person? Drop your experience in the comments below. But the real magic isn't in the brute force of these robots, it's in the intelligence that coordinates them. Above our heads, invisible but omnipresent, there exists an artificial neural network that functions as the brain of this industrial creature. Each robot isn't an isolated entity, but a neuron in a larger nervous system. They communicate hundreds of times per second, adjusting speeds, sharing data, predicting problems before they happen. When a sensor detects a minimal variation in a metal piece's temperature, that information is instantly processed. The system decides whether it's necessary to adjust the cooling speed, if another station needs to compensate for this variation, or if everything is within acceptable parameters. All of this happens faster than the blink of an eye. The factory is constantly learning. Each car produced generates thousands of data points that feed machine learning algorithms. Patterns invisible to human eyes emerge from this mass of information. The system discovers that a particular assembly sequence reduces vibrations by 3%. That adjusting the ambient temperature by half a degree improves paint adhesion. That switching the order of 2 operations saves 7 seconds per vehicle. Multiplied by thousands of cars, these fractions of a second transform into days of production gained. And the most fascinating part? The system makes these decisions autonomously. Implements the changes, tests the results, and refines the process, all without human intervention. Think about that for a moment. A system that improves itself. If that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. Let me know in the comments what aspect of this intelligence impresses you most. There's also an elegance in prevention. Vibration sensors detect tool wear 3 weeks before it fails. Maintenance is automatically scheduled for a time when that specific station will have the least impact on overall production. Replacement parts are ordered without anyone filling out forms. The factory takes care of itself like a living organism. Now, pull back the camera. Rise up until we have a panoramic view of this operation. The scale is breathtaking. In a single 8-hour shift, This factory produces more vehicles than a traditional facility produced in an entire week just 20 years ago. But it's not just quantity. The defect rate is 40 times lower. Each car leaves the line with a consistency that would be impossible to achieve with human hands, no matter how trained. And these factories are multiplying. What began as isolated experiments in countries like Germany and Japan is now spreading rapidly. China, the United States, South Korea, all building these cathedrals of automation. The capacity productiva global is growing exponentially while the need for human workforce decreases in the same proportion. We're talking about millions of vehicles being produced annually by systems that never sleep, never strike, never ask for raises. The economic impact is so profound that we're only beginning to comprehend it. And inside each of these factories, the silent power of technology manifests in its purest form. There's no drama, no individual heroism, just the relentless execution of tasks with a perfection that borders on the supernatural. If you're still watching, you're clearly someone who thinks deeply about where technology is taking us, and I'd love to have you as a regular here. Subscribe if you haven't already. But perhaps the most profound aspect of this transformation isn't technological, it's philosophical. For thousands of years, work and humanity were inseparable. We defined our value, largely, by what our hands could create. And now, facing this factory that operates in darkness, we're forced to ask uncomfortable questions. If machines can build our cars, our homes, our products with perfection superior to ours, what is the human role in creation? Here's where I really want to hear from you. Comment below with your thoughts. Do you see this as threatening or liberating? There's no wrong answer, and I read every single comment. Perhaps the answer lies precisely in who designed these machines, in who imagined this system, in who had the vision that this was possible. The autonomous factory doesn't diminish humanity, it amplifies it. Each robot there is the materialization of accumulated knowledge from generations of engineers, mathematicians, craftsmen. It's our collective intellect transformed into steel and code. These machines don't replace us, they free us. They free us from repetitive work so we can focus on what truly distinguishes us. Creativity, empathy, innovation. The factory without humans isn't the end of our relevance. It's the beginning of a new chapter where our contribution rises to a higher plane. If this journey through the future of manufacturing sparked something in you, if it generated questions or insights, do 3 things for me. First, smash that like button so more people can discover this content. Second, share this video with someone who needs to see where the world is heading. And third, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or your most pressing question about automation. The transformation we're observing today in factories is just a glimpse of the changes coming to all areas of human experience. Staying informed, questioning, debating these evolutions isn't just interesting, it's essential. Because the future isn't something that simply happens to us, it's something we build, even if, ironically, with machines that build by themselves. And if you want to keep building that future with me, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.